So, if you just went on my Lichess profile, you probably already saw that position, and I already showed you on Lichess how I actually managed to turn this drawn position, eventually slightly worse position for me, to actually a position that I can play without any fear. But now I will not only explain to you again, but also I will show you how to convert this winning advantage, because this is the most important moment of the game. When you already have this chance of winning, you have to win. So let's just start. Basically, I already explained I played queen d8 because I was a little bit scared of knight f1 followed by knight g3, and let's assume that we actually get to this. Then actually, if I have to play g6 with both knights like that, it's not a nice story. I mean, this is no, never. So I decided to go queen d8, which is the best move, because now he can of course still try knight f1 with the intention of sacrificing the exchange like this, and I calculated that, but I found out that I can play f6 and just open up the f file, and if he goes queen g6, I have queen e8, which is pretty good, trading everything off, and if he just goes back, then I'm just the king of the jungle here. This is a very simple position to play for black, and I have an advantage. I wouldn't be surprised if one day I can sacrifice something on f3, but I cannot know that yet. But I just feel like it's okay. How do I feel that? Experience, but also I'm a great chess coach, so I'm explaining it correctly. Anyway, he played g3, so no more counterplay with knight f1, knight g3, and now I decided to go for rook e8, which is a very strange move. And a friend of mine, who was playing with me in my team, he basically told me that rook e8 is strange, and he's 2150, something like this, and I think he was already 2200. I don't know when. And this is a weird looking move, but the first intention is the following. One day, when the queen won't be able to go on g6 again, probably I will be able to play f6 or f5, and if captures, the e-pawn will be protected. I just have to be careful about the h-pawn, but of course, if the h-pawn is weak, then I will not play f6. And the second idea is that when I looked at this position, you know, the bishop is a little bit crumpled, the knight has no good retreating squares, and I don't like this knight on c6 is basically doing nothing. And I cannot jump on the queen side if this sometimes are even just b3 moves and that's it, or rook c1 and the b3 square is correctly protected. So rook e8, and I'm just playing bishop f8, and eventually I'll maneuver my knight back to e7 and f5. He played the move b4, and I explained it on Lichess that practically it's interesting. You're taking, some space advantage, but it's important to understand what is your goal. The goal is to plant a knight on c5, and if I take it, then you take with the b pawn, and the b7 pawn is a backwards pawn. And I think that he didn't understand it correctly, because I played the move bishop f8, he played the move rook c1, and now with rook c1, his first intention was queen b5, I suppose, and this is of course a good idea. And this is correct. You have the pawn on b4 and you put the queen on b5. This is all right. So I play queen d7 because now if you go queen b5, I have the move knight e5, which is a winning tactic. If you take the knight, I take the queen, and if you take the queen, I just take back with the knight, and I won a pawn. And now it doesn't matter that he has the c5 square. I play b6, and I'm just up a full pawn. Anyway, he went for rook c2, which I mind is a huge mistake, and I will play this line. I will be playing the best moves now, and I will explain to you what basically happens. I played the move a5, which is giving me a huge advantage, and after knight b5, I wasn't sure yet if I had to go knight e7 or knight a7. What I thought with knight e7 is that he can just go, let's say, a4, and after the trades, I can go rook c8 and knight f5, and I'm actually better because the a pawn is a huge weakness. And let's assume he doesn't play a4, but he goes rook b2, then I'm just the king of the c file. And this is a very simple position to play. If he goes for knight b3, I can even play b6, and we see that my position is extremely harmonious. Now, actually, knight b3 loses the a pawn, so he cannot play knight b3. But let's assume he goes. Actually, he has no moves. If he goes for something like this, I can again play b6. This is never really a move. I'm just getting in. Probably I should get something like this. I don't know. Probably or probably not. These are already extremely accurate lines that I should calculate in the game, but during the analysis, they do not really matter. Anyway, this is just to show you what was the correct way to play according to the engine. And I also, I just saw that I could win the c file, and I stopped there because I'm a human. But I decided that knight a7 was slightly better, which is a mistake. Now it's only equal, so it's not a real mistake. It's just that knight e7, knight f5 was fighting for something. So I'm attacking a little bit of everything. Rook b2 now, I think I can just play whatever. I don't even know yet. This is a good question. Probably just b6. Yeah, actually after rook b2, this is a difficult position. I cannot play rook c7 because of b6. Yeah, probably I misevaluated rook b2. I remember that I thought that yeah, b6 and I won the c file, but probably it's a little bit more difficult than that. Still no knight b3. If a4, then we just, now I'm just getting a good position. I know that I had something like this in mind, but now I cannot figure it out again. Doesn't matter because the position is all right. So, I understood the position correctly. So if a side variation was not correctly calculated, it doesn't really matter. It matters if you didn't understand anything and you also calculated wrong. Anyway, instead, rook c2, he played exactly. I played knight a7, a4, and now I just took, and went rook c8. And the goal is very simple. I created, okay, I more or less um, provoked him, and now he has a pawn on a4, which is weaker than the pawn on a5. But why? Because this guy on a5 can be protected with a move like bishop b4 or queen e7, queen b4. This is the type of moves that you have to find out while calculating. And the pawn on a4 can be attacked by the knight on b6. So I had a very clear plan. Probably knight c8 here is the engine recommendation, and after this move, the engine wants me to play b6 and change my mind and go that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm missing something. This is not. I think. Hopefully I'm wrong, and this is not the engine line. Hopefully I'm wrong, but okay, we never know. Anyway, side variations. I don't really care when the analysis. Anyway, he played queen b2. I played. No, of course he didn't play queen b2. Actually, he did. I played the move queen e7, and now my idea was that after rook c1, I can play the move queen a3. And if you take on c8, of course, I'm with the queen. And if you trade everything off, then I'm winning this endgame against anyone, probably even against Magnus. Even if the engine says it's equal, I do not really care. This is a real advantage here. Even here, it should be a real advantage. Yeah, because I can even take like this, and if you go for knight d6, I'm thinking about taking a knight there. Yeah, and he's also stopping that pawn, but I'm getting these pawns, so probably I'm winning. And then we would reach something like this. Am I getting this pawn? Actually, yeah, I played it a little bit too fast. Yeah, and oopsie, an opposition. I'm not sure I'm winning that. Yeah, I think I'm losing that because even if let's say it's his turn, he goes like that, and now of course this is dead lost. So probably, um, yeah, I don't think I have to take on d6. I guess I can just play a move like knight b6 or knight c3 or knight whatever, wherever, and this is just the pawn is fixed and I can push the a pawn. This is probably something that I had in mind. What does the engine say? The engine says I'm winning. Yeah, it's good enough then. Anyway, uh, he played the move queen a1, and now what happens is that I should have played the move queen b4, and I remember that I calculated something that I didn't get correctly until the end. I'm still better, so it doesn't matter, but a side variation that I didn't calculate correctly was, okay, rook b1, and now if I go queen c3, if he takes everything, then this is just a simple winning endgame, and I don't know what I did wrong, but I somehow thought that it's not good for me. I don't know exactly. Anyway, I went for rook c2, and I didn't even see the move 91 that he played, so I went back, and now I was like, okay, if 93, now queen b4 wins. Which is true, and I think that if he was coming back, I was already ready to play queen b4. Because when he played 91, I realized that queen b4 was the best move. Practical chess, this is what happens. Anyway, he played the move with knight b3, and now I know that I'm better because I have this combo queen b4, which is bring the queen into the action. Now the rook will get in. I'm attacking, this knight. And if he goes for rook b1, which is what happened, I have the move rook c3. And rook c3 is a great move. But why is it a great move? First of all, if he goes for knight c1, just to attack me, I can play the move rook a3. If he takes my queen, I grab the queen on a1, and I'm attacking everything twice, and this is winning. And if knight b3, I take with check, and then I pick up the rook. So this is the first variation. The second one was knight c5, and I'm not sure I got it right, to be honest with you. So this is never really working because these pawns are too far and too strong. And if I take like that, then no, I don't think it's enough. I think the queen is. I don't know. I don't know, to be really honest with you. Um, anyway, if knight c5, I thought that I have the move queen d4, and if you take on b7, I have rook g3, which is actually already mate. If king goes on the h file, it's mate, and if you go on f1, then I have queen c4, and this is mate. Very simple variation. This was my main idea, and I think that's it. What else did I calculate? Yeah, and of course I saw the move queen b2 that he played. This is the only answer. And now I found a variation that I miscalculated the first time I saw that, and I almost thought that I was slightly worse or that I lost my advantage, but actually I calculated everything right. I will show you the variation just so that it stays clear in your mind. I played the move queen rook c4, which is, I suppose, the second best move. I think the engine wants me to play knight b5. Yeah, and I miscalculated this line, and I don't know why. Rook's knight c5. I queen d4. I didn't see that move. Okay. I didn't see that I could do it in that move order. But now it makes sense because the knight goes somewhere and I can grab. No, this is bad. Okay, the engine says I'm better here. Okay, I was okay, no chance. I think I was in the right mood to find things like that. Anyway, rook c4, and I calculated the line that happened in the game, which is knight d3, queen a4, and knight c5. If he went with the other knight, I would have taken, I could have taken, and then go queen b4. Anyway, he went with this knight first, and then the line that I calculated correctly is the following: takes. If knight takes queen b4, and this is the game, and I will show you what happened. But pawn takes was the main problem, and I found a very good line, which is rook c2. The queen is forced to go on b3. And by the way, if let's say we reach a position, just to show rook d4, there are lines in which he plays c6, and if I take, then b6, and I lose the game. In those cases, the knight is already controlling c8, so I can just go b6, and it's all right. This is never going anywhere. So I decided to stay clear with myself, and I went for rook c2 in my calculation. And the reason why I could enter this line is because after queen b3, I had the magical move queen takes, and a4. And now, if you go rook b4, I push. If you go rook a4, I can grab this pawn. And then in the end, okay, he cannot take, so it's losing. So he should play rook a3, and after takes, I have rook c3, which is attacking both the knight and the pawn on c5. And if the knight moves away, I get this pawn, and I'm up 2 pawns. And this is a clear winning endgame. And if he grabs over here, I can just push, and I'm getting this pawn back anyway. And if he goes f4, I wouldn't be surprised if this is already lost. Yeah, this, and this, and the knight is too far away. And this is a simple win. Okay, let's go back. And I stopped after takes and knight b5, and I just knew that it was winning. So I didn't know yet how much of a win I would get, but I knew I was clearly better. Anyway, I took, and he took back with the knight, and now I went for queen b4. And the line that I calculated first is queen b4, I take, and if he goes, knight takes b7, I have knight, I have knight knight b5, and the line that I didn't see first, at first glance, is knight d6, which was actually very shocking, because if I take, I cannot stop the pawn with my rook, but I can stop the pawn with my king. And I think that this is the beautifulest thing, that chess has ever shown me. This is a very good line. I like this line. I can probably even start like that. I don't know, actually. This. And now I suppose I don't know how to win that. I will analyze it on my own. I think I can. Ah, yeah, I can play e5 and then have a second pass pawn. Okay, so I know how to win that. Anyway, what happened now is that yeah, this is what I calculated. So this is I didn't see that first, but when I played queen b4, I realized that in the end I have takes takes and king f8, and then he played queen a2, which I briefly calculated because I found a very cool trick. If queen c3, I'm attacking the pawn on d4. And if he goes knight b7, which he played, I have knight b5, and this is just ending the game. He cannot take on b7. I think he should have played b6 first, and after knight c6, taking on b7. I have many moves that are more or less okay, but I think that rook there is the simplest one. So I'm basically preparing to get the rook or get the pawn, and also I will get the pawn back and the b6 pawn, and I guess it's all right. Yeah, it's correctly calculated. Okay. I'm happy of that. Okay, I'm getting always the good ideas. So I think this is a clean game, even though the engine might give me probably 90%. I will check this and tell you which accuracy I had with the game. I don't know it yet. Anyway, takes, queen e2, queen c3, he took on b7, I went knight b5, and now if he takes, then there is a check followed by rook c1, and this is mate. And if he goes queen f3, then this is checkmate. If he goes f4, it's important now to play queen h1 and not queen g1, because the king goes to h3. Probably it's still winning, but just to win, in the simplest way, this is very, very winning. I mean, I can just grab the queen anyway. Yeah, so I think it doesn't change anything. Oh, wait, oopsie, mate. Hehe, yay. Anyway, yeah, he saw that, and he ended up playing the move. Yeah, and by the way, if he goes knight a5, I first thought that I can play rook d4, and I miscalculated something, which is rook b5, queen e1, this rook d1. And when I saw that afterwards in the small analysis with the friend of mine, realized that he has queen c2, and after g6, king f3, and it's no longer mate because the queen is guarding the square. But I found a very cool variation. If king there, yeah, king e3. Okay, if king f4, I have check followed by queen f3, and this is mate. I'm sorry, this is mate, or this is mate, or whatever. I think this is mate. And if he goes king e3, I don't know exactly where's the win. This is queen there, this, and now queen c3, king f4. Ah, okay. And now king g7. Okay. I don't know if I could have found that on the board. We will never know. But I'm still winning. So, okay. It's a little bit lucky on this one. But I thought that it would be the same, and I'm partially right. I just didn't get the side variation right. This is the first time it's wrong that I didn't get the side variation right in this game. Anyway, I mean, it's the first time I didn't get it right, and it could be a problem. Anyway, my first intention after 95 was the best move, 94 anyway. And I'm sacrificing the exchange, but this is a clear win, because even if I do not get the checkmate on the king, which I will, yeah, then it doesn't really matter since I have many pawns and I can even get the pawns back. So it's winning 30 moves in the worst case. Anyway, he went for knight d6, which is the same line, and I couldn't play rook b4 because of knight b5 and there is an x-ray. So I went for knight d4, takes, and now he started to have some time issue, and after queen c4, queen there, he blundered and took on a5, which is just a very clear checkmate. So if you go king f1, I have check, mate, simple. And if you go for king somewhere else, then this is mate. And if you go that way, it's mate. So this is a very simple one. I will just delete these moves, and now I will put this game on my, in a Lichess study, and I will try to find out which accuracy I had with this game. Yeah, let's just put it in the public, yeah, in the public study, a full game with explanations on YouTube. Yeah, it's very good. I like it. Anyway, let's just go for it. So, the accuracy was hopefully pretty good. You will see. I wouldn't be surprised if I had some mistakes. I know that knight a7 was probably wrong. Yeah, I think knight a7 was wrong. Yeah, I think this was wrong. Yeah, knight a7 was wrong. I could feel it afterwards. Yeah, I still have 92%, which is all right. I played against, yeah, I didn't tell it to you, but he was like a 1900 that was already rated 20, so 2000, something like this. So it doesn't matter. It's pretty good. So it's okay. Yeah, and this plan was actually very good. Bishop f8 wasn't the best. Ah, the engine wants g6 first and then bishop f8. Yeah, and I got this idea right. I knew that at some point I could do that in the game, but I thought that I could just start with bishop f8. So it's the same. So it doesn't change anything. So I do not count that as an inaccuracy because I got the idea right and the move order doesn't change anything. a5, this is of course wrong. 97, sure, 97, and now yeah, with the variation that I gave you, this is okay. Knight a7, a4, and a4 is already wrong. He should have gone for rook b2. Yeah, and here I thought about b6. The engine says, yeah, it's actually wrong. What is the best move? It's b6. Yeah, actually it's right. Okay, actually it's right. Yeah, crazy engine. Anyway, okay, so eventually this is something I should work on. Anyway, here I have an advantage. Queen e7, I know it's the best. I mean, there are no other moves. I don't need the engine to know that. This is, of course, wrong, and I knew that during the game. Queen a3 or queen b4. Yeah, both of them are correct. Yeah, this is the same idea. And if you take, then this endgame is very simple to play. And this is more than simple. Yeah, okay. Anyway, and this is, of course, wrong. Queen b4 is not right. b6. Okay, doesn't change anything. Queen c3, rook c4, queen a4, and this was calculated correctly, which I'm very proud of. Yeah, this is not right, this is just equal, but this is not a real equal because I have two passers plus the knight and the queen against the king and the rook and the queen, so yeah. And here he should have gone for check, queen b1 and queen b7, which I saw in the game, but I just thought that here I'm better and the engine says it's equal. Ah, I didn't see queen c8, which is a mate threat. Okay, so okay, I was lucky on this one. Okay, practical chess, it happens. Okay, okay, couldn't be worse, couldn't be better, couldn't be worse. Just to simplify, thank you again, uh, if you're still there. But just to simplify everything, um, the approach of turning around the drawn position or worse position, in that case, slightly worse, to something winning has something to do with your understanding of the position. You have also to calculate direct lines and direct things pretty often just to make sure that your plan isn't losing right away. But if you are improving your position without taking any risks, you will almost always win, or at the very least turn around the position. Of course, I don't know if it applies to blitz, because in blitz you have to be extremely direct, so I don't know if it really changes something. But at least I explained to you how it works in classical games. Thank you again. Follow me everywhere. Buy my chess books. Join my online chess school. Anyway, see you in the future. Take care.